My coworkers made a fake group chat to bully me, so I sent it to HR. My name is Emily, I'm 25, and until a few months ago, I thought I was in a stable, grown-up, this could be it relationship. I'd been dating my boyfriend Jason for almost 2 years. We met at a friend's birthday party, he made some lame joke about the playlist, and we ended up talking in the kitchen for 3 hours while everyone else got drunk. He was charming in that quiet, attentive way that makes you feel like you're the only person in the room. He had a good job in marketing, a nice apartment, called his mom regularly, didn't flinch when I talked about therapy. Basically the checklist guy you convince yourself doesn't exist. We took things slow at first. He'd come over, cook dinner, bring me my favorite snacks without asking. He remembered little details like the fact that I hate coriander and that my dad lives in another country. After about 6 months, he suggested I keep a toothbrush at his place. A few months after that, I had half a drawer. We were doing weekend trips, meeting each other's friends, talking about next year like it was a shared thing. There were red flags, but I painted them white. He never wanted me to tag him in anything on social media because he was a private person. He avoided FaceTime calls when he was at home and always called me from the same couple of angles. I'd never met his family in person. There was always a reason. Someone was sick, schedules didn't line up. My family's not big on visitors. When I asked why I'd never been invited to any big holidays, he'd say, "My family's chaotic, trust me, you're not missing anything. We'll do our own Christmas." It bothered me sometimes, but overall, he was consistent, affectionate, and present. He slept at my place 3 or 4 nights a week, texted me good morning and good night every day, and talked about renting a bigger place together. I thought I was building a future with my boyfriend. I didn't realize I was actually the side character in someone else's engagement story. The whole facade started to crack because of a DM. It was a Sunday afternoon. I was in sweatpants on the couch, half watching a show and half scrolling through my phone. I saw a message request on Instagram from a woman I didn't know. Her profile picture was a pretty brunette smiling with a dog. The first line of her message said, "Hey, this is going to sound crazy, but I think we're dating the same man." My stomach dropped so hard I actually felt nauseous. I clicked her profile. Her name was Lauren, and the more I scrolled, the worse it got. Every few photos, there he was. Jason. Different haircut, in some different clothes, but definitely him. There were couple photos, vacation pictures, tagged posts going back years. All the captions were things like, "Date night with my favorite human," and 3 years down, forever to go. One post stopped my heart completely. A picture of her hand with an engagement ring, his hand over hers, the caption reading, "I said yes to forever." The date was 5 months ago. I reread her DM in full. She wrote that she'd seen Jason's reflection in the background of a photo I'd posted from my living room. A stupid little mirror selfie I hadn't thought about and recognized him immediately. She said she'd confronted him, and he'd tried to spin some story about me being a work friend who exaggerates things. But her gut told her there was more. "I don't want to fight another woman over a man," she wrote. "I just want the truth." My hands were shaking as I typed back. We moved from Instagram to a phone call, and for an hour it was like talking to a version of myself from a parallel universe. We compared timelines. While he was taking me to a cabin just for us last winter, he had apparently told her he was going on a work retreat. The Sunday lunches he claimed to spend with his grandma lined up perfectly with the photos she had of them at her parents' house. The ring he'd given her, simple, elegant, not cheap, was something he'd hinted he wanted to get me someday. Every overlap made my skin crawl. When we hung up, she sent me screenshots of their messages. There he was, calling her fiancé, booking venues, sending her links to honeymoon destinations. It was all too detailed, too real to be some misunderstanding. There was only one conclusion left. I wasn't his girlfriend building toward marriage. I was the other woman he never bothered to tell the truth. I didn't confront him right away. I wanted to, but some bitter, strategic part of me knew that if I confronted him without proof, he'd gaslight me into oblivion. "You're overreacting. She's crazy. Those photos are old." I've been on the internet long enough to know how this script goes. So for a few days, I acted normal. I answered his texts, I laughed at his jokes, I told him about my day. Meanwhile, Lauren and I were basically doing detective work together. We compared receipts, dates, photos, alibis. We realized he'd built 2 parallel lives like some amateur con artist. Weekdays split between her place and mine, weekends with family or traveling for work, that conveniently matched up with photos from her side. He'd even changed small details of his story depending on who he was talking to. He told her his dad was sick and that's why he couldn't see her family as often. He told me his dad was dead. He told her he hated sushi. He took me to sushi every other week. It was like he'd created 2 customized versions of himself and forgotten that real people were attached to those lies. At one point, Lauren sent me a screenshot of him talking about me. He'd written, "She's just a friend I'm helping through stuff. She's very attached and I don't want to hurt her before the wedding is over." Reading that, my embarrassment turned into rage. Attached. As if I didn't have my own life, my own choices, as if he hadn't been the one talking about kids and joint bank accounts. Lauren and I made a plan. He was supposed to have a guys' night on Friday. According to her, he was studying the seating chart with his fiancée that same night. According to me, he was finally taking a rest after a long week. In reality, he'd promised both of us separate time. We decided to flip the script. We picked a neutral place, a cafe near his office that he didn't know we knew about. Lauren texted him that she needed to see him urgently to talk about a wedding issue. I texted him that I had a surprise and needed him to meet me for coffee before his supposed guys' night. We told him the same place, the same time, different reasons. Then we sat down at the corner table together, ordered 2 coffees, and waited for our mutual liar to walk into his own ambush. I will never forget the look on his face when he walked into that cafe and saw us sitting there side by side. For a split second, he actually tried to smile like he could turn it into a joke. Then he saw the printed screenshots on the table and the smile died. "Sit," Lauren said, her voice ice. He sat. He opened his mouth like he was about to deliver some Academy Award-winning speech, but for once, he didn't get to lead the conversation. We did. We took turns laying it all out. Dates, lies, overlapping stories. Whenever he tried to interrupt, one of us would shut him down. "No. You've been talking enough for 2 years," I said at one point. He cycled through every predictable reaction. First denial, this is being blown out of proportion. Then minimization. I never meant for it to go this far. Then victim mode. You don't understand the pressure I've been under. He actually had the nerve to look at Lauren and say, "I asked you to keep our relationship off social media for a reason," as if that somehow made his double life more reasonable. She slid off her engagement ring and placed it silently on the table. "You didn't ask me," she said. "You told me, just like you told her she wasn't ready to meet your family, just like you told both of us what we wanted to hear." He turned to me like I might be the easier one to manipulate. Come on, we were still figuring us out. I was going to tell you after..." I cut him off. "After what? After you married her? After you got bored and decided to upgrade your side chick?" My hands were shaking, but my voice stayed steady. I told him I didn't care what narrative he sold himself to sleep at night. What he'd done wasn't a mistake or confusion. It was a series of deliberate choices to lie over and over to 2 women who trusted him. When it was clear there was nothing left to salvage, he shifted into anger, calling us dramatic and cruel for ganging up on him. That was almost funny, in a sick way. He'd juggled 2 lives for years, and we were the cruel ones for simply standing in the same room. In the end, we both stood up at the same time. Lauren told him the wedding was off, that her family would be informed exactly why. I told him to never contact me again, and that if he tried to spin some story about crazy exes, I had enough receipts to wallpaper his office. Then we walked out together. We're not best friends now or anything. The only thing we had in common was the same liar. But that day, we chose each other over him, and honestly, that felt powerful. I blocked his number, deleted his photos, and started the slow, ugly process of rebuilding my idea of what love is supposed to look like. So, here's my question for you listening to this. If you found out you were the other woman in someone else's engagement without ever being told, would you ever give them a second chance? Or is that the kind of betrayal that should end a chapter for good? No plot twist, no redemption arc, just the end?